Money is the best form of protest. That was a statement made by Tori Dunlap on Vivian Tu's podcast, Net Worth and Chill. Two women I highly admire and respect for their financial and business acumen. When Tori said money is the best form of protest, I felt that deeply because I've lived it. I remember sitting in corporate America over a decade ago. I was the number one producer on my team, closing big deals, negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts, driving revenue, making the company millions while I was being paid a fraction of the value that I was creating. I had salary, commission, bonuses, and it looked good on paper, but it was nothing compared to what the executives were making off of my labor and intellectual capital. So in 2014, I had enough and I made a decision. And that decision was my protest. I left my good corporate job and I never looked back. So fast forward, 300,000 Black women lost their jobs in 2025. And that number has now doubled in 2026. And as horrible and humbling as that is, that's not even the worst part. A lot of these same women are tolerating toxic relationships and dysfunctional situationships. Not because they want to stay, but because they don't have the financial leverage to leave. When you don't have money, you don't have options. And when you don't have options, you are at the mercy of people who may or may not have your best interests at heart. So you stay in relationships that you've outgrown. You tolerate things that are beneath you, things that slowly erode your dignity, your peace of mind, and your potential. To change that, we have to stop abdicating our freedom to people who benefit from our dependence. You have to build something that's not dependent on someone else's mood or morale. As women of color, we follow that proverbial playbook word for word, right? Work hard, get a degree, get a good job, and you'll live this American dream. And yet, we are witnessing that narrative collapse in real time. And what we thought was the American dream has become a perpetual nightmare. And more recently, some of my friends have discovered that the American dream ain't even in America. My passport princesses caught that one. Foreclosures are trending up, inflation is up, gas prices are high, layoffs are rising, and the system we trusted to sustain us is now exposing us. I hate to tell you, but the people who work the hardest are generally paid the least. The people earning the most focus on leverage, not labor. Listen, in this economy, you don't have the luxury of being passive about your financial future and well-being. You have to be prudent and proactive. So what's one thing you can do right now? Not 10 things, one move. My honest recommendation, build a solid financial foundation first. Before you chase investments, before you start flipping money, before you start gambling in the market, you need a protected base. That's where life insurance comes in. Not term, although there's nothing wrong with term. Let me be clear about that. Term insurance offers affordable temporary coverage for a set number of years, 10, 20, 30. Whole life, however, is permanent. It is a little bit more expensive, but it never expires and it builds cash value that you can borrow against. Keywords, borrow against. I'm talking about a properly structured policy that builds tax advantage wealth, gives you access to capital when you need it, protects your family in the case of death or critical illness, and creates liquidity in times of uncertainty like now. While everybody else is reacting to the economy, you can respond with wisdom and peace of mind. See, formal education taught you how to be a good employee and make the company money. It didn't teach you how to think like an investor, like a business owner, how to make money, manage money, maximize your money, and multiply it. Bottom line, you cannot effectively protest systems you are financially dependent upon. If you want real freedom, true agency, true autonomy, you must stop negotiating your worth in rooms that profit from your brilliance, extract your value, and then discard you like a soiled napkin when they're done. It's time to stop playing defense with your mind and your money. It's time to get on offense. When you're on offense, the ball is in your court. You get to call the plays. You get to dictate the pace. You get to decide what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not. That's why money matters. Not because it buys you luxury, but because it buys you options. And options create freedom. Money doesn't just change your lifestyle, it changes your level of tolerance. It gives you the ability to walk away from what no longer serves you, to leave toxic environments, to say no without fear, to reject bad deals, to choose purpose over survival. I want you to stop accepting what they offer you and start naming your price. Stop waiting on permission. Stop waiting to be chosen. Stop waiting for someone else to validate your value. God never said let them have a job. He said let them have dominion. Dominion is not dependency. Dominion is ownership, stewardship, and authority. Dominion is having enough leverage that you can live life on your terms. So, when you're ready to stop surviving and start operating in your dominion, let's have that conversation.